Ready.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here today at our transition planning, post-secondary transition planning for middle school session. And this is our second session. And today I'm really pleased and excited to have the topic be on pre-employment transition services, career and technical education, and YouScience. A lot to pack into an hour, with Melanie Allen from Davis School District and Paul Ashby from YouScience. And they can tell a little bit more about themselves when I turn it over to them. But there is a sign-in sheet that I've put in the chat. If you would please, it's a USBE sign-in sheet that we do for every offering that we do. And also to add to that, if you wouldn't mind putting your name and role and LEA in the chat, we would appreciate that as well for the Midas credits, because I don't get the attendance from the other one. So anyway, thank you again for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to Melanie.
Okay, thanks, Deanna. I appreciate being able to be here with everybody. I'm Melanie Allen, and I'm the Transition to Post-High Specialist for Davis School District. And we're very fortunate today to have Paul Ashby from YouScience. So today we're going to look at how we can help every student see their strengths and how we can use YouScience as part of their transition plan, which is part of the IP that outlines the goals and services that help students move to adult life.
I appreciate the chance to be able to spend part of the day with you, and definitely know that junior high is a crucial time for the students, especially as they're trying to figure out who they are, where they're going to go. And so your ability to help them at this time in that process starting is invaluable. So today, our goal is by the end of this workshop, you'll be able to describe 3 junior high activities that support enrolling the right students into the right CTE class, understand how YouScience can support transition to post-high planning, and how to identify how many departments contributed to Brianna's success. And Brianna is a name you'll hear in just a minute.
Last month, y'all were introduced to Pre-ETS. Today, we're going to explore how our district supported students through a 3-year contract with vocational rehabilitation. We also had 3 years of collaboration with career and technical ed. And then we have our ongoing implementation with YouScience. So as early adopters of YouScience, we'll share what we've learned and how it works best. So also something to note is many vocational rehabilitation counselors, they also use YouScience as a way to help students discover their strengths and identify career pathways. So when we have our students start early in junior high, and they take the first brain games in 7th grade, and then ideally they're taking them in 9th or 10th grade, it really does help them maximize the opportunities to learn about themselves then, and then as they begin to connect with vocational rehabilitation or other pathways to their future. Okay, here we go. CTE, really, career and technical education. And I say that out all the way. In one of the surveys that we did, 90% of students did not know that CTE stood for career and technical education. And that was even with students who are completers, and we can maybe touch on that later. But what happened in our district was, on the surface, our district CTE data, it showed that we were meeting the state targets to have students complete CTE pathways. However, when we dove a little bit deeper, the data showed that we had chronically low performance across the board with our students, identified as special populations. So those are those who have an IEP, a 504, or are English language learners, and several other categories as well. So this led to a 3-year collaboration with CTE and special education. And we used our data to kind of collaborate and address things. So I'd like you guys to look at this slide, and then in the chat, maybe put what you notice about this. This was 186 out of 212 CTE coordinators, counselors, special educators, and LEAs. So we kind of had 3 takeaways from when we looked at this data. And essentially, the first piece was most special educators were unsure of how to identify or map out a career pathway. And this is really essential because transition planning is a key component driving the IEP. So a joint training that we did brought together CTE teachers, counselors, special educators, and an LEA or 504 coordinator from every school. And we were really able to learn from one another and see what's possible when we step out of our silos. As a result of some of these collaborations and projects, you can look here and you can see that we had we have 10 high schools and we have 17 junior highs, and 4 of our high schools and 4 of our junior highs, they had a 20% increase in enrollment in career and technical education by just learning more about what are the appropriate matches and options. As part of this 3-year collaboration, we also did a student focus group, and our students who received special education services really lacked the ability to see themselves participating in career and technical education or even seeing what they could do in the future. Their statements were, "I'm not one of those students," or "I don't think I could do the work." So understanding that you have options and being able to see yourself in the future is referred to as what's called, at least in CTE, occupational identity. So how do you see yourself doing the kind of work you like? And so being able to help students frame, I'm not one of those students, to I love helping animals and I could see myself being a vet tech. That is an example of occupational identity. So as you can see, our first challenge, we had 3 challenges based on our data. And the first was special ed teachers, students, and families don't know about or don't understand the courses, the standards, or the programs that are available in their school. And usually they take a class because a friend or a family recommended it. So it's not necessarily based on an aptitude or something that they might actually be good at. To help students see themselves, we created a series of videos from students in our district, helping them understand both what some of their options were, as well as what some of the career and technical education pathways are. And then we were able to create materials with what we called career coaches. So our career coaches, we had 1 junior high counselor, a junior high resource teacher, a junior high essential elements teacher, 1 elementary general education teacher, a high school teacher, and a parent of 3 children, 1 who had an IEP and 1 who had a 504. So some of the materials that we developed explained what vocational rehabilitation is, and also provided materials for the junior high career day. Our target for 3 years was junior high. We also really looked at helping students identify their interests and preferences, right? This is something that for us as special educators, we're like, oh yeah, we totally know that. And part of the way we did that is just in a simple worksheet like this, which explains what their class options even are for electives, and then have them look through it, talk about them, and then have them be able to really say, well, I could see myself as, and the next class I will is, and then maybe think of something better them. So being able to have those pieces was something that we found to be a helpful focus. Our next challenge was that students and teachers, they struggle really to meaningfully plan and prepare and to be able to collaborate on their CTE classes and their future careers. This is where YouScience comes in. So we kind of got to this point, and then, like I said, as early adopters, this is where we connected with YouScience, and Paul can give you a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. So YouScience measures natural aptitudes, things like spatial reasoning, idea generation, and pattern recognition. These results give the educators a new lens for talking about the strengths, pathways, and a realistic career match, and talking points for IEP transition plans. And junior high is the perfect time to begin. A quote that one of our users in the state said, I've seen schools in YouScience. Start that again. I've seen schools use YouScience results in powerful ways, not just for career exploration, but to guide IEP transition planning, course selection, and even conversations with families. When students see their aptitudes matched with real world careers, it changes how they view themselves and their future. So I'm just curious, out of this group, if you guys would hit the raise hand button for those who've gone in to YouScience at this point. Has anyone gone in before? So it looks like we're all brand new, and that's awesome actually, because we are excited to see this picking up steam. And I think I'm pretty comfortable saying we are definitely picking up steam in the state. Might say it again, the state legislature has paid for YouScience to be used through all the schools in the state of Utah. So it is one of these programs that it's up and running, ready to go, and free for you guys to use with your students. So and so the next slide, if you would, oh, there we go. We look at this as being one foundation for everyone involved with students. It's not just a CTE program, not just a counseling program, but everybody that gets into YouScience can see how it impacts the students in a way that gives them an understanding of their aptitudes and skills. And as we're gonna talk about that in more detail through the rest of the presentation, just understand that you have a vital role with everybody at the school. And the more we can get you and the other teachers aware of, being comfortable with what YouScience provides, we're going to see an amazing increase of the success of the students, especially when they get into their transition and beyond.
So I can support everything that Paul is saying, and I just would like to say that if you haven't rolled it out in your schools and you're part of the group, really ideally it comes through counseling or CTE, right? Not us, but the information we get is so empowering and so vital. But really letting families know, letting your whole staff know, having the big picture painted is by your administration is really a big game changer. We're one of the largest districts in this, well, we are the largest district in the state. And in schools where it has been rolled out the way YouScience recommends, it's a very exciting and empowering. It's very exciting and empowering, and then our role becomes supporting gen ed, which is always what our role is, right? To support our students in general education and to be able to help with that. Okay, we're going to shift for just a second and we're going to shift back to, so we began YouScience rollout, and as we did that, we also knew that our students needed to know more about pathways, courses that they could take. And so this is an example of a flyer that we came up with and that has continued to be updated. And it's something that we're kind of excited about in that it allows teachers and students to have all the information, counselors in one spot where you can, as you're having discussions, look at different pieces of this. We do have some curriculum built that goes around it as well. One of the things that was really helpful for special educators to kind of wrap their heads around was that, oh, it's the CTE teachers that can really understand where our students want to go, and they can contribute to the conversation about transition planning. So here's a couple of ideas about how we can think about including CTE. So CTE can contribute to present levels of achievement by describing how the student's doing in their class, and they can share strengths and areas to improve. And we encourage CTE to be honest and to offer suggestions. we found that that was an area that they kind of struggled with because they weren't really sure what to say in an IEP. Understanding what the class content actually is, and how that relates to the industry and industry certifications, and what kind of accommodations can be made both for the class as well as in the industry is important to know. Maybe on the junior high level, not as much, but definitely for sure that's a place that can come in on that high school level. But they can offer ideas ahead of time, and these can be included in the draft version. Really having them share ideas as to insight into the industry standards, the certification and prerequisites, can really help guide the team on how to align these with opportunities for employment. Sometimes, you've got that student who for sure, wants to be an influencer, right? They all want to be influencers, right? So you can help them map out the classes that they need and that type of thing. But really being able to tap into their YouScience information as well can help have conversations that support classes where they can probably excel. I'm just going to show you a couple of slides based on some of the curriculum that we came up with, because at the time there wasn't a lot to help our students understand what is CTE, what is career planning, especially not at the junior high level. So we began maybe like with a slide like this, like who uses these, right? They're different signs and signals, right? And we'd have conversations that kind of led to, just like any driver, we find a way to our destination by using a map. Now, these are a full rounded out lesson that are like 20 minutes each. But we spent quite a bit of time coming up with these, giving them in classes and seeing what happens with that. This particular, at the end, this is part of that same slide deck that really talks about what CTE is, how it relates to being able to make money, how it can lead to jobs, and how it can provide college credit. And we gave this this lesson to an English language learner class. And before we left that class, one of the students, and this was at the junior high level, one of the students had emailed the work-based learning coordinator and said, hey, this is my name and be looking for me in 2 years. I'm planning to come. So for them to be able to make some of those connections was really exciting. What I think is even more exciting is that while we do have these materials, YouScience has been able to really take that on. And Paul, I'll let you explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to just start off by saying one of the best parts of the state, the legislature paying for this for all the schools, is that our partnership is awesome with all the districts. And Davis School District has been amazing, and as has multiple districts, as we've been able to develop and create resources just like this curriculum that we're going to talk about in just a minute, or right now. But just to let you know, we actually have, as you see on this screen, it's called a classroom ready lesson for middle schools. And we do have, I really describe these kind of like the 30,000 foot approach to introducing and getting your students through the program, getting into why they're going through YouScience, why they're taking the brain games, and how they're able to see their different results and how they're able to make those connections of, their top 3 aptitudes to these best fit careers, and just get some understanding on that. But then we've also been able to take not just the classroom ready lesson plans, but our team was able to create a semester long curriculum, which is actually, we're in every state in the country. And that semester long curriculum is a paid edition, which Utah, that's able to fall under the paid umbrella. So this is free for all of our Utah schools to use, which is awesome because they are designed to be for a 40-minute class, 5 days a week for a full semester. And as you see here on the screen, like with the 7th grade, we do have a specific 7th grade semester-long curriculum, a specific 8th grade semester-long curriculum, then a high school level that you're able to use. And it's very sequential, it's very step by step. So if you wanted to follow the process on how to introduce this to the students, how to get them into the brain games, and then how to get into the different lessons and activities, for one purpose, so the students can learn individually. They, as you see here on the student workbook, they can go through their results and write down their top talents and aptitudes, and then write the top careers that come up, and then start making those connections. You know, one question that we ask students is, think of a favorite game you like to play. Well, we all have aptitudes that make us good in certain things. We love to do puzzles, or we love to draw, or whatever it might be. There's aptitudes that we know we're good at, but this helps the students see those connections of those aptitudes to those best fit careers. And so it's individual, but it's also very much holistic. You can do this with your class. Help the students understand who they are, how they relate to other students, how they contribute to a team. And also, this curriculum, again, as you see, is quite sequential, but you can use it however you need. However is going to best work for you and your plan as you're working with your students. And so it's just very, it's awesome actually to be able to have this resource. As I mentioned, with the partnership that we have with the district and the schools, we hope for feedback. We want to know that the curriculum that we have developed and that's being used is being effective for all of our schools, all of our educators. You'll see, like you see on the screen there, the student workbook. It's just one example of the resources that are available. Now, this is, you know, you can put this printed off into a PDF, but it's also fillable. It's a fillable form, so if you want to keep it digital. So a lot of resources that are available for the students, and especially with our students who, you know, who have an IEP or 504 plan, there's ways that you can provide this resource for them in a way that's usable for them.
Well, and one of the things that I really love is that they have a help center. And so you can access the help center from the main page right here. And there's a lot of places and ways that you can go. So if you get stuck on something, you can jump to here and be able to find the pieces that you're looking for. And if you want this slide deck, you can also put your names in the chat. And Paul and I can send this to you. It has our favorite, well, meaning my favorite. It has my favorite links and the ones that I get asked for, you know, hey, where's that? Where do I find this? Like getting started and some of those kinds of things. So those are certainly there. Deanna, I would ask though, can you pull those out of the chat? Okay.
So there's no questions in the chat, but I'm not sure if that's what you asked, but I'm wondering, is it possible for us to post the slides on our Padlet?
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay. You can just send those to me.
Yep, just look for it on the Padlet then. All right, another challenge that we had, and this even, you know, you say, well, this is more of high school stuff, but really these were things that we did on the junior high level. These were all things that we piloted on the junior high level. And then many of these things now are being done on the high school level as well. And that's really to some place where it really kind of has scaled to. So it definitely works in both places. But what we were lacking were activities that directly tie to the student's interests and to their aptitudes. So helping a student know what's available that matches what they're good at is pretty important. So we began with field trips, and we began by virtual field trips. So Weber State and Davis Tech now both have virtual field trips on their website. And so instead of doing PowerPoints like we used to, we can now do a virtual field trip and explain different programs and things that are available. An in-school field trip. An in-school field trip is where your potentially your CTE coordinator or a counselor literally walks your student through the school to see what the different programs are that you have in your school. If you're a small school, then maybe everybody already knows everything. But this cracked me up. There was one student who on one of the field trips that we were on said, I didn't even know he had this hall. And so that was that made me smile. So I didn't even know he had this hall. So sometimes, our students, we think, well, at least they know their school, right? But if they always come in the same door and they always go to the same classes and hang out with the same people and eat lunch in the same hall, sometimes they really don't know. And that was kind of eye-opening to us. But and then also site-based field trips. This was a junior high field trip. If you didn't know this, counselors are supposed to do a data project every year. And the counselors at Mueller Park said, hey, we want to do this data project. And we're going to take any student we're going to invite any student that's an English language learner or that has an applied skills class. And we're going to take them on a field trip to see the Catalyst Center, which is like our CTE school. And we're going to take them to our local technical college. So when we did our pre-survey, 6 out of 33 could say that they had a pathway that they were interested in. When we were finished, 32 of the 33 had a pathway that they said that they could envision themselves taking classes in. Now, the surprising part is we asked, well, what about any roadblocks or barriers? And we explained everything. If you come to this Catalyst Center, there's a bus that brings you here. You don't have to pay extra fees. It's just like high school. We explained all of that. But still, 17 out of 33 said that they had roadblocks to taking classes at the Catalyst Center or at Davis Tech. But because we did an exit ticket, right? Because we did an exit ticket, we were able to identify which ones for the counselors to follow up with. Because realistically, following up with all 33 was, that's not, that can be time consuming, right? But if you only have to follow up with 17 and you have 5 who come down and they change their schedule on their own, that's we thought was pretty impactful. So here's just an example. You can take a quick picture. This is a more updated one. It doesn't talk about the barriers, but having this allows us to kind of narrow when we do presentations as to who to follow up with and why we would want to do that. Okay, we're going to dip back into YouScience for a bit. Paul, awesome. I think I have to unattach the screen to play this. So
yeah, just make sure on the share you have audio.
Take a minute. Oh. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. Anyway, so as she's getting there, I'll just say that, so the Help Center is a great resource. So we're going to, as we go forward on this, as you start using YouScience, we have resources, how-to videos and information that's going to help you understand how to get through the platform. And certainly I do training. I'm the customer success manager for the state, so I do a lot of training as you go forward on this. But just so you know, 6th grade can actually go in and take the interest survey. So start that initial conversation on best fit career based on interest. Junior high, 7th and 8th grade, they go through a series of 5 brain games and then one interest. And so the information that they get is not nearly as in depth as what they'll see when they get to high school. High school, they take, in 9th grade, they take 9 aptitude and 2 interest-based. But the junior high is able to have those connections of their aptitudes to the clusters that we have. And then within the clusters, they can see some careers within those clusters that help the students. And so really, as we look at how this is connecting the students as they progress, really from 6th grade on, they get an idea of what those aptitudes are, the careers or clusters that align to their aptitudes. And then when they look at getting into selecting their CTE courses where they can get their certifications, which are industry recognized, they're legit certifications for the students, it helps them understand how to make the most of their selections, the courses that they're getting into. Now, not to say it's certainly not pigeonholing, saying, okay, well, you're really good at finance And so just focus on that. No, this allows the student to have that exploration opportunity. So if they decide, or if they learn, I have an aptitude of this, but I still don't know that I have an interest, at least they know that. So this is just allowing for more ownership and understanding for the students. And again, especially as we're talking about students who have IEPs or 504s, just really quick, my background is special education. I taught in the classroom for 10 plus years. And so I've loved this opportunity to be able to share out with our schools what YouScience can do for all students. But as we see here, we're going to take a look at or introduce you to Brianna. And she's just awesome. I think I'll just stop with that. She's awesome, awesome, awesome. So hopefully the audio works and we can meet Brianna here.
Yeah. Okay, that's
On your share, Melanie,
yeah,
on
I'm
the Zoom
looking.
share. Yeah, click on that. I think you can have it share audio. I think there's
Where do I do that?
on the bottom of the screen, you have the green
Share
Zoom or
audio.
share. Yeah, share audio. That should.
Microphone, all right.
Sometimes, Melanie, you have to stop sharing and then hit share again, and then the selection
reconnect.
is when you start sharing.
All right, so I will. Thank you. This is the part, stop share. Okay, now what?
Now
And
share
just make
again,
sure. Yep.
Thank
and
you.
there will be a button that you can click that says share audio before you hit the share button.
All right, where do I see that?
So the share screen came up where you can choose what window you want to share.
Yes.
At the bottom of that share screen, there should be a box that you can select.
It just says share.
When you
It does have auto captions. Okay. That's not the ideal. Okay. Okay, share screen.
before you
Advanced
choose which
multi-
window you're going to share,
Yes.
there should be a checkbox at the bottom that says share audio.
It does say share.
Okay, so click the checkbox.
Yep.
Audio. There you go.
Are we good? And it is. Well, sorry, Paul, do you have that link? Is that something
Yeah,
you're...
let me pull that up really quick.
Yeah, that might
okay.
be good. I'm going to talk for just a second about, while Paul's taking care of that. Brianna, we're going to show you a high school student just because she was the first student that we had where we really had to kind of work through, okay, what about accommodations? This is a student that can speak but uses a communication device to communicate with, and is slower physically. And so we were just sure that she needed to have accommodations. But this is an aptitude. It's not an academic test. And that was a little bit hard for us to wrap our heads around when it came to that. So what was interesting is we were having a rather spirited discussion about whether or not, she should have accommodations and what they should look like. And then Brianna stopped us, and she, on her communication device, said, she goes, I've already taken YouScience. And we all stopped, just like in the movies. We just totally stopped, and we turned and we looked at her. There was myself, there was a career coach, there was her mom. a teacher. And she says, yeah, she says, and they reflect my strengths. And we said, well, can you pull them up? And so she pulled up her results and we looked at them and we're like, yeah, okay. And we were able to like move on and really have instead of well, how does she even take this? We were able to move on to, okay, how do we make a plan with the information that we have? So, okay. Thank you, Paul.
Yep. Can you hear it?
Nope.
Thought we had it.
It does have subtitles.
Yeah, said it was sharing the audio. One more time,
When
then
you
we'll have
click
to move
there,
on.
before you press share, like you click on the screen you want, and then on the right side, there's like check boxes,
Yeah,
and
there's
one
share
says
sound, share
share
sound, and
sound, and
optimize.
then transfer video. There's like
Yep.
two check boxes.
Yeah. On, share, and cross fingers.
What you could call a poster child for everything.
Yeah, it was working. We're good.
Oh, was it? Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's supposed to work well.
Brandon was born with a rare metabolic disorder called glutaric acidemia type 1. Last we knew there was less than 100 in the US affected with it. It affects her fine and gross motor skills as well as her speech. Cognitively, she's a pretty smart girl. She uses a wheelchair to get around. She uses an app on an iPad to talk just because it can be hard for people that aren't around her to understand her speech.
School was very challenging because it wasn't easily accessible for people who use wheelchairs. At times it was hard to make friends because of my disability. I have learned to overcome some of my challenges, and it made school more fun. When I'm not at school, I love to act in both film and theater, model, swim, ski, ride horses, and hang out with friends.
I help students who qualify for special education to access transition services. First, they have to have a disability. The second is that it has an impact on their education. And the third is that they need specialized instruction. YouScience helps with this process in that it gives not just interest surveys, but it gives aptitude testing. Each of these pieces are very, very valuable in providing insight and conversations that really help lead to meaningful planning as part of this transition plan.
Taking the science assessment was pretty fun and interesting. I really liked doing the brain games. I found the program was pretty easy to navigate.
Well, just so you know, I'm a veteran, but I would not do this, come here, spend time on this, if I didn't truly believe that this is a game changer for our kids.
It gives you a wide variety of things that they are geared towards, like higher interest, maybe still there, but not as high. And we kind of pick a few and we're like, okay, so like, which one is like your favorite one on this list? And then we'll pick that and I'm like, okay, let's take these classes and see if it's something that you're really interested in.
I wanted to take the science test because I was curious to see what career ideas it would come up with for me. I was excited to see if my interests would be a good fit for me, and according to YouScience, they are.
I'm really glad this program has been introduced to us because it's really beneficial to our students and it's given us a very effective tool that we can use to help them be successful.
My life motto is do what they think you can't do. So many people think that I am not capable because of my disability. I love proving them wrong. YouScience has helped prove that I am truly capable of so much.
Pretty awesome. Not
Or
pretty.
can you
very
pick
awesome.
up the slide deck, or do you want me to go back and pick up the slide deck?
Go ahead and share the rest of yours.
Okay. Um,
I will say this is one video that I share all the time with our schools, whether I'm working with those that are, special ed teachers, counselors, especially those that say, well, how do we get all the students? Is this really designed for every student of every ability? Well, certainly Brianna was very ambitious and motivated, and it was just awesome to see that. But this really has helped a lot of our educators go, that is amazing. And yeah, we want to start using this. So great resource to have out there.
Okay, okay. I was like, where did the screen share go? Alrighty, I think.
Yeah, you're sharing it now.
All right. Oh, hang on, I need my mouse. Here we go. All right. Um, just so just so you know, so we'll just kind of recap. Because of the conversations that we were able to have with Brianna and with her family, we were able to review her YouScience aptitudes and interests. She was able to participate in a tour of a local college, which she did apply to, and also their disability services, and she was accepted. She's finished her second year there. She attended a post-high disability fair. And she was able to coordinate with vocational rehabilitation on the purchase of a new communication device before she needed to turn hers back into the district. So it all came, I wouldn't say just because of YouScience, but because of the conversations that were facilitated, because we knew how to have those kind of conversations. We could share those kind of conversations and share the information. So I love the quote up at the top on the left. We believe in the people, process, and outcomes that are truly attainable through thoughtful planning and action. So, how does YouScience support transition planning? So YouScience looks at how students think, not just what they already know. And these results give educators new lens to talk about strengths, pathways, and realistic career matches. We didn't put it on this slide, but when their account pops up, it will say, like on mine, it says, Melanie, you crushed it, right? And so I was not in high school when I saw that, and it still made my heart happy to see that I crushed my brain games when I opened it up. So for us, it showcases the students' aptitudes and interests. The results are provided to us so you can have constructive conversations, lessons and activities, and the quick start resources.
Yeah, so the exploration really begins for the students. It is, as I mentioned earlier, it's free for all Utah students. It does support general education curriculum and does integrate quite well, which is also why you can use it as you need with how your curriculum is set. It's a great tool for transition plan and development, and it's a very student-friendly results. And if you look at, we have this built into the lesson plans, the curriculum, but there's an activity that I do with the teachers, and especially fun when I'm in person with them, but we do this handwriting activity. And typically it's a 2-minute handwriting activity to when you're talking about aptitudes and how these brain games are challenging, and some are going to be kind of easier and others might seem pretty tough. Well, we do a handwriting activity, say for 2 minutes, we're going to write what you love to do, your favorite interest, whatever it might be. But during that first minute of that 2-minute writing, you're going to write with your non-dominant hand. And it's funny because I get more responses from teachers going, oh, than I do with the students. They already know what it's going to feel like. So if you would just write your name, your complete name, do it with the non-dominant hand, and then do it again with your dominant hand. And just kind of get that sensation. And it's a good example for the students to know that, yeah, there's going to be certain things that just feel smooth, and others are going to be like, man, that's a non-dominant handwriting experience. But still encourage them, do your very best, because the results they get are going to be that much more individualized for the student. And just as Melanie said, everyone's going to crush it because we have different strengths in different areas. So next slide.
So just a reminder, this is where YouScience connects beautifully to transition planning. We really focus on the students' interests. There's the career matching clusters, and there are conversations for talking about post-secondary goals. So instead of guessing, we can say, based on your aptitudes, let's explore classes that you can take now when you get to high school. And this turns the transition plan of the IEP into something that's more personal and encouraging. We're going to talk for just briefly about accommodations. I mentioned that we really felt like there should be more accommodations that were offered. But when we realized it wasn't about academics, it was about aptitude, that was pretty helpful. There are links on the slide here, though, that can help you get to the read aloud directions, which are allowed. And students can use noise canceling headphones if available. And we can recheck with students to confirm that they understand what's expected. So that's pretty helpful. To really understand how much time it takes, I think here's a chart, and just based on our time, I'm gonna just let you read it. But the short way to say this is you can, if you look to the chart on the left, one of the assessments is 5 minutes, the next one's 15, the next one's 7, the next one's 11, the next one's 12, the next one's 7. So you could, in 20 minutes, do the first two, and then later the second two, and then later the next two. For some students, you can also just do them one at a time. If you do these first 6, then when they get to 9th grade, then they only do 5 more after that. So it really helps break down the time.
And we also have available, you can find these in the Help Center, but we'll have this available as well, I believe, after this training. But we do have roadmaps that are put together that are very step-by-step. And starting from the 6th grade, you can get an idea of what's expected, what's really kind of the guiding. You can go back one more, Melanie.
Oh, yeah. And you can do as much or as little as you choose. But so it can take anywhere from, you know, the time that you take. Some of your students will get a big chunk of this done in their CCA class, right? We can help support in applied skills or something like that to make sure that they actually finish it. In our district, counselors in 8th grade go through their results with them. And so it can be a shared effort. Okay. So Paul, what type of reports do you recommend special ed teachers use when reviewing results with students? And can just maybe mention quickly what's available.
Yep, short on time, I know. Absolutely, some of the best reports to get into when you're working with your students, you want to see, you want to match to best fit careers. We have a career match report. We have an aptitude overall. It's actually called a clusters match, where when you're working with your students, you can see really kind of which students have an aptitude for a particular cluster. So if you're setting up like a field trip or a guest speaker, and majority of your students may have an aptitude in digital technology, but maybe not so many students have an interest in it, you can identify those students and say, hey, did you know you have a strength in digital technology? We're going to have this activity. We want to make sure that you are there. So there are different reports that you can go into, but very much aligned to helping the students see their aptitudes and then seeing those best fit careers. So you have your top careers, your clusters alignment. There's a number of reports that are generated, that can be generated. And also just recently, they've got a 1-page report that is available. Right now it's fully ready on the high school level, but junior high is getting close to having that 1-page report available. So that's a great resource. When parents come in, you can say, hey, let's take a look at your child and see what aptitudes can do for them.
One thing that's really nice is for teachers new to YouScience are quick walkthrough videos like this one. They're in the educator dashboard, and they can show you how to review results and have conversation starters and how to print the summaries. Here's just an example of one of the summaries. And then also on the right of this is like some of the information that can kind of round that out for you. So
just remember the one foundation. We're all in this, and we can support each other, and that communication is huge. And just as another, I was fortunate to go to a few transition fairs, one being up in Davis, and it's awesome to have conversations with the parents as they see that this is available for their kids, but also that Voc Rehab is continuing to use this, because students have access to their accounts long after they graduate or long after they leave school. So what they do is still accessible to them within their account. And then on the next slide where it says 20 and 2, this is a great resource where specifically was created, Kelly put this together, Kelly Openshaw, who I work with, put this together with the idea that it really takes about 20 seconds to get into a student's results and see, you know, their aptitudes to best fit careers, and then to have a good, effective 2-minute conversation. Hey, did you know you have a strength in this? Or we recommend all educators go through this as well. So then you can say, did you know you and I have the same strength and aptitudes? And so we've been getting feedback that that's been a huge component to how students are getting excited about it. One, they learn about themselves, but it's cool when they can see some connection to their teachers and other educators. So great resources there.
So when it comes to transition planning, we do need a framework to cover how to plan for education, employment, and independent living. And really, when we remember transition planning, YouScience is available to us, right? But we have other tools. The state has lists and assessments and those kinds of things that we're already using, and those are great too. Transition planning is not about a specific assessment or a curriculum. It's about real conversations that help a student imagine their future, understand what's possible, and empower the IEP team to meaningfully plan services and opportunities to help the student get there. So YouScience and career and technical education, really, they provide multiple entry points for these types of conversations. We do have on the slides some of our most favorite links. You don't need to take pictures because we'll make sure that this is on the Padlet. And if you've got questions, you can also feel free to reach out to either Paul or myself.
Yep. Don't hesitate hitting that schedule a meeting with me. Love meeting with people on this.
Okay, Deanna, we'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you, Melanie and Paul. That was great. That was such a wonderful presentation and so much information that I hope that people will be able to take back and use, and then reach out to Melanie and Paul if you have questions. I think we have a few minutes for questions if anyone has any. You can unmute.
Well, if I can just throw out there too, if any want to still get the courage to ask the question, we do want to make sure that all the educators go through it. So it's free for you as well. I mean, this is obviously free for the students, but it's for the educators too. So we want to make sure, get an account, reach out to me. I'll make sure you have one set up. You can access it. It really does make a huge difference as you're working with your students to be able to say, oh, you went through the brain games. What'd you think of this one? Oh, that was so hard. I mean, and then be vulnerable with them, be open with them, because it really does draw that connection with the students. So anyway.
Thank you.
I just think too, I think sometimes we don't know what those brain games are. I'm just going to show you what I show students. I take a sticky note. This is for one of the brain games ahead of time. I said, okay, you guys, in this brain game, this is what you're going to do. You're going to imagine you have a piece of paper. Okay. Imagine you have a piece of paper like this. You're going to fold it in half in your mind. You're folding it in half. Then you're going to fold it in half again. Okay. Everybody got this? Everybody got this in your head? Okay, now you're going to take a paper punch and you're going to punch it right here. You're going to punch a hole right through it. Okay, now when I open this up, where are those holes going to be? And then, you have just a moment about it, and then you open it up and, you have the paper punch or not, but say, okay, the holes right here are right here on the corner. This is the game that you're going to do. And Paul, what do you call this? Say people love it or hate it? Call it
Yeah, I'm a baseball fan, if you can tell on the picture behind me, but I call that brain game the Yankee fan of brain games, because you either love it or hate it. So, and I'm not so much a Yankees fan.
Things like that, or numbers. These are the, number sequencing, things like that. Those are the kinds of things that they will experience. So.
Anybody wants to share any takeaways or ahas they had from this presentation, you could put it in the chat or unmute, or questions.
Did everybody get the code they needed for the survey?
Yeah, I put the link in the chat too.
Perfect.
Well, I guess if there aren't any questions or other comments, I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation for you, Melanie and Paul, again, to spend your time talking to us about YouScience and CTE. And I hope that our participants got a lot out of it and will be pursuing that. So, and
Awesome.
thank you for making it so applicable to the middle school level as well.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.